Hello everyone, Maryann here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality wherever you are in the world. When you're watching, a huge shout out to you. Thank you for your likes, your comments and your subscriptions. They are greatly appreciated. We've got a lot to get through, a lot of concerning things to get through today. Ohio, West Virginia and one other red state, I think, are sending National Guards to DC. Of course, you're having protests there about a DC takeover by Trump. One light I saw at the end of a long dark tunnel was the courts ruled that Trump doesn't have the authority to put someone else in charge of the DC police. So they've withdrawn their pick of commissioner to take over the DC Police Department, and the DC retains control of its own police department. However, there are National Guard in the streets. Homelessness tents and encampments were bulldozed, and homelessness, this is very important. The executive order did criminalise being homeless. It made it easier to arrest homeless people, and really criminalised it. So on the ground, I've read many reports from multiple media outlets. On the ground, the homeless people were given a choice to leave or be detained. Leave or be arrested. Okay, they were the two choices given. Leave or be detained. And this is something straight out of Hitler's playbook. For those that don't know, in 1933, Hitler criminalised homelessness and did exactly the same thing. Only these people were arrested and taken to concentration camps. Trump is building more and more of these concentration camps. What does detained mean? Where will they be taken? So it's a very concerning thing. There's nothing benign about this at all. So more National Guard mobilised to DC. And of course we had the very concerning meeting between Putin and Trump in Alaska. I said that I thought there may be, if anything, a ceasefire. That didn't happen. I did say the purpose of the meeting was less about Ukraine and more about Trump and Putin's relationship, and perhaps talk of trade between the two countries. Now, a story came out just before the meeting that Trump was offering Putin access to Alaska's resources. A trade between Alaska and Russia. Of Alaska's rare minerals and energy resources. So I think in hindsight, looking at that meeting over the weekend, I feel it was even more sinister than that. So I will get to what they may have discussed throughout this reading. So we'll look also as what does Putin want, what does Trump want, and will the war in Ukraine end? I then want to go, very worryingly, the thought that crossed my mind was so much National Guard on the streets of Washington and threats to do it in other cities. The thought crossed my mind that in DC, how does a new Congress be seated in a city that is basically controlled, lock, stock and barrel, by Trump? And so we'll look at the midterms, whether or not that'll be free and fair. You will have seen the gerrymandering war that is ongoing now between Texas and California and spreading to other states as well. One wonders how under these circumstances no election would be free. Okay, so let's have a look. Firstly, let's get started with the most obvious question, the question that's been bothering me all weekend. Does Trump intend to take over the US and prevent free and fair elections? Let's get right down to that question. Does Trump intend to take over the US and prevent free and fair elections? Does Trump intend to take over the US and prevent free and fair elections. Does Trump intend to take over the US and prevent free and fair elections? All right, so we've got win, a winning card, the Six of Wands, and it's not going to be as easy as what he thought. Okay, so he's struggling. He's struggling at the moment, and we sometimes forget this, and I spoke about this in my last reading, the narrative. You know, we get pulled into the drama of it, and we forget the wins that are actually happening at the ground level. There are a lot of losses too. But anyway, he will struggle. He will struggle. If that's his intention, he will struggle to do that. Loss and walking away. I'm glad, quite relieved to see these cards, because it suggests that he's going to fail. So far, what I'm seeing. We have changed the Wheel of Fortune. That is in the past. The Wheel of Fortune is in the past, and the Magician is in the sky. Manifesting can be manipulation. So what is he manifesting? What is he manifesting? That is only a potential. It's not an outcome. Abuse of power and sabotage in the immediate future. So I think, yes, we can conclude that we can believe our own eyes. We don't need to justify anything that he does. We don't need to make any sort of excuses for him. There is a blatant lawlessness occurring, and it will, as time goes on, more and more will come out just how lawless this government actually was. That there were multiple occasions where a power was abused, presidential power was abused. Now, there are suits now before the court suing Trump's government over tariffs from businesses that have been damaged by tariffs, gone broke, bankrupted, had to put people off, suing Trump's government over the tariffs. Now, I've seen reports that the DOJ is very nervous about these suits, because we all know the power to set tariffs does not reside with Trump. It resides with the Congress. So there's going to be more and more, as time goes on, there's going to be more and more incidences of how he's abused his power. Retreat. I like it even more in the here and now. This is someone who's not well, and we get a wounded in battle, almost a retreat. He certainly looked like a whipped dog after the Putin meeting, and again, what does Putin have on him? The environment around is the Lover's card. So, the Lover's card, relationships coming and either ending or coming or being, beyond the point of any return. We have the Minor Arcana Death card in the hopes and fears. And we have the Nine of Pentacles. So there's your answer. That is money. It's having everything that one needs, a grand supply of money. But we also see isolation, review, dark night of the soul time. And then we get the Six of Pentacles, debt. I think there are signs now. Businesses board ahead. This is, to withstand the early effects of the tariffs now, grocery prices are starting to go up. The debt in the US is increasing every day. So does he intend to take over the US and prevent free and fair elections? It's certainly a plan. The Magician tells me that it's a plan. However, he's more at the level of making money for himself right now. And it seems like he's not going to succeed. And he's becoming more and more isolated. No. Yes, he does. There is that intention. But this whole spread tells me he's not going to succeed. He's not going to succeed. Okay, there we have the Death card. again, along with the Four of Swords, the Death card, the end of something. We have the Queen of Cups. That can be nurturing, self-care, care for others. We have the Hanged Man, pausing something. We have prosecution, and we have the Tower card. So, this does not end well for Trump or anyone around him. This is a disaster. So, he has this plan. There's a potential manifestation for erosion, I guess, of democracy, obviously. But these cards, time and time again, are telling me that it does not work. And it looks like the courts are stepping in, will continue to step in. But there is a crisis here. At some point, there's a crisis. Now, I've always said, as you know, he doesn't do a full 4 years, and I feel that one of the trajectories for this travesty to go on is that he does abuse, create fear, economic downturn, increasing debt, violence, as we see with ICE. But he doesn't succeed in the long run, and perhaps given his health is so bad, it ends dismally and in failure for him in every way. And then the real damage starts to be uncovered. The real truth, the truth-telling starts. That's what this spread tells me. So is he trying to do that? He has a plan. Of course he has a plan. We already see it. Military on the streets, gerrymandering in Texas, and now asking other states to do the same. I've answered my own question, but this with facts. But this spread says it doesn't. He doesn't succeed, and that likely his end comes before the end of, well, any sort of end of democracy in America. So I was pleased to see those cards. I was getting quite concerned for you over the weekend. All right. While we're on it, will the US have fair and free midterms? I said right from the start that there's so much being chucked at this, so much, rigging, trying to rig this election. So will the US have free and fair midterms? Will the US have free and fair midterms? Will the US have free and fair midterms? Boundaries, weariness. Boundaries holding, though, but battle weary. That probably sums it up, that card there. And the Queen of Wands, motivation and planning, mobilization. It's a battle. It's a battle, but it looks like they are held. Three of Pentacles, I think, as much as the one side strategizes, the other meets the challenge. This talks about getting together, rebuilding, or building something. Victory is in the past. Victory is in the past. The Ace of Wands is in the sky, a plan, motivation, people mobilizing. We have things happening very, very quickly, very, very a speed. So, things moving at speed. The Moon card is in the here and now. That's things below the surface, things hidden but are coming up to the surface. It also speaks to volatility, emotions, volatile emotions, and the High Priestess, secrets. Yeah, secrets, things being hidden. Okay, so the strategy for the Trump strategy for the midterms, we don't even know the half of it yet. Death card is in the hopes and fears, ending something. And then the outcome is the King of Swords, the law, planning, strategizing, the law. The King of Swords is very powerful. The courts, the law is the outcome. So whatever they try will not be successful. And the Hermit card, isolation, dark night of the soul. There is a key. I keep going to September. There is a key event in September that is something to watch for. Something coming to fruition in time, being patient, and then we get the Queen of Cups. Yeah, people looking out for each other, for themselves, for each other. It's that kind of people power and the truth emerging. I'm really pleased about that. Yes, they will be, to an extent that any election in the US is free and fair, given the level of gerrymandering. They will be as free and as fair. The existing infrastructure holds. All right, the Ace of Pentacles, money, new starts, planning, having to go to plan B. The Magician card, manifestation. The Hierophant is the High Court, the Supreme Court. A season of time, Russia, and then we get the Tower card. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. Things go all the way to the Supreme Court in one way or another. Whether that's election challenges or he will have to seat a new Congress in 2026. Okay, so be prepared, because the thing that will stop all of this is the people. But I can't underscore the seriousness of this. All right, so let's go to the meeting between Putin and Trump. Let's just have a flyover or a look at what the tarot has to say, and then we might do some clairvoyance, or we can do that simultaneously. What did the meeting actually have to say? Apparently, Caroline Levitt and Witkoff were ashen. The press said the vibe at the meeting was deathly. What did the meeting? What did they discuss at the meeting? So the Russians were straight-backed and unflinching. I think that Putin came in and basically laid down the law. They gave them no room for discussion at all. I think that the staff were surprised. They're perhaps looking for leadership to Trump. He didn't give it. As I said, he looked like a beaten dog. And the Russians told them what they wanted, and then no room for negotiations, and then left. It was almost naive of Trump and his staff to think that that anything else would happen. But that's not really the salient point here. I want to know what Putin and Trump discussed on their own, away from the staff. What did Trump and Putin talk about? Show me what they spoke about. Trump and Putin, what did you speak about? Trump and Putin. Drains and turning on the water, flushing things down the drain. What did you talk about? That's an odd image for me to get. What did Trump and Putin speak about when they were on their own? What did Trump and Putin speak about when they were on their own? I'm still seeing a coffin being lowered into the ground. Every time I go to Trump, I see this. What did Putin and Trump talk about on their own? Oh, Zelensky. Zelensky, I hope to goodness he's got his bodyguards with him. Obviously he has. Thank God Europe, Starmer, Macron and the EU head, von der Leyen, Giorgia Meloni from Italy, they're all coming with Zelensky. Thank God. This was how to end. This wasn't a peace negotiation. This was a strategy session about how Putin can take Ukraine and how Trump could help end Zelensky. All right, so, all right, let's just see what the cards have to say. What did Putin and Trump talk about when they're on their own? I hope the staff are happy with their choice of vocation when they got to see what it was really like. Decisions, crossroads, the world. Oof, oof, the ending of something. Crossroads and the end of something. The end of a major cycle. The start of something new. But first Zelensky has to be not there anymore. The Four of Wands is in the past. This was a reunion of old friends. When I say old friends, old connections. This was a reunion of that. In the sky was the Hierophant. The courts, the government. Yeah, it was the Ukraine government. How to change the governments, how to change the leaders, and the end of somebody or something, complete and utter downfall. Restricting is in the here and now, and then the difficulty in doing that. Yeah, I think this was about Zelensky. The Queen of Wands, also how to manage, the I guess the opposition to anything that they're doing. And then we get the Queen of Swords, planning, objectivity, planning, and then having to come up with different plans because certain things wouldn't work. And the Chariot, something moving very, very quickly. And then, decision time. Okay, so basically Putin increasing his push so that he wants all of eastern Ukraine, basically. This was mainly centred around, so they're the obvious things that they talked about. This was mainly centred around unseating Zelensky and unseating Zelensky's government, destabilising the Ukrainian government. And there we have money, trade, fortune, the spoils of war, how they might be split, abuse of power, and secrets. So honestly, there's the King of Pentacles. Honestly, do you, circles of support, do you honestly believe that this conversation didn't go down like that? Because if you believe something else, you're freaking naive. You just don't get it. This person is a convicted felon, a sexual abuser, Epstein's great buddy, led a sex pedophile out of prison and into some minor camp where she gets day release. I mean, he's an extorter, a blackmailer. Do you honestly think that this didn't happen? And then, quite bizarrely, you have the media reporting on, and the talks went, the talks, he didn't get what he wanted, but, the talks in Russia, the historic meeting, and sorry, I had a moment. All right, I think we're pretty much on the same page here. All right, does Putin want all of Ukraine? Which is where I think it is at. If he can get it in a de facto way by putting in another government that's friendly to Moscow, then he'll do that. Then he becomes an intimidator. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if Trump and Putin talked about exactly that playbook and how Trump can perhaps do that where he is. All right, so does Putin want all of Ukraine? Seems a silly question to ask. Does Putin want all of Ukraine? Of course, the academic professors that say that Putin was only acting in self-defense, you know, he certainly wants their resources, wants their money, wants income. Territory means income. It's a transactional thing. Moving out of troubled waters, it's almost like... Sorry, let me just turn the volume off. It's almost like if he doesn't get Ukraine, he's going to be in big trouble politically, economically, politically. He can't afford for this war to go on. Russia has reached a stalemate in Ukraine. They are not winning. Neither is Ukraine winning, but they can't do much more than desperate last minute, grab of a little bit more territory. They've reached a stalemate. Every expert will tell you that. Putin needs this war to end. Europe does not want to give Putin an opportunity to go away and regroup. So hence he's pushing for all of Donbass, all of the Donbass region, and Kherson and Zaporizhzhia. He's pushing for as much as he can get. America says they'll provide security guarantees. Yeah, who would trust Trump? Okay, so we have a lot of anxiety. We have, the volatility of it. They can't get all of Ukraine. The King of Pentacles is in the immediate future. So what do? We enlist our buddy to help us. The Emperor card is President, Control, and the Queen of Cups. Looking out for people, looking after people, the president. That could be Zelensky, could be Putin, could be Trump. Could also be finding something out about one of them or more. Strength is in the hopes and fears, and then we get the High Priestess. Secrets. Again, secrets. Circles of support, celebrations, and the fight. Okay. And the planning, a new plan. It seems to me that what they'd settle for, what Russia would settle for, would be a regime change, and that eastern part of Ukraine. So, in other words, they control Ukraine in a de facto way. Moderation, temperance, healing, the devil. There we get Russia. Minor a card, Kana, death card, the truth and victory. So, he's not like, the High Priestess means an unknown. It means something that's in the subconscious that's ready to come to the conscious. So he's biding his time. He's waiting until he has enough support to get. Sorry, that thumb there, I didn't do that. That's an automatic thing. I usually have it turned off, but whenever you put your thumb up, you'll see it. It's a AI thing that this computer has on it, and it annoys the crap out of me. He's just waiting. He's biding his time. He has a plan, and I do feel it's about regime change in Ukraine and taking over in a de facto unofficial way. There's the truth. All right. So, does he succeed? Does the war end in Ukraine? 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 Looks like something's divided. Something is divided. It's like one mountain range on there, one mountain range on that side. Does the war end in Ukraine? Which means Ukraine might have to give up territory. So we have standing one's ground and then winning. The way that Ukraine is defending themselves prevents a win by Putin. We have something coming to fruition in time. Page of Pentacles in the past. We get a deal. It looks like there's a potential now for a deal. It looks like there will be a deal done. It's not what is being requested right now. The Chariot, there's a plan B here that comes forward. Hopes and fears pausing, and then the King of Swords. Yes, it does end. Financial stability, and then there's a celebration there for Ukrainians and new starts. Yeah, it does end, but I think that Ukraine does have to give up some territory. So this tells me that Putin doesn't succeed in unseating Ukraine's government, that there is concessions Ukraine will need to make, and that there will be territory lost to Russia. Okay. It looks eventually, and I don't know the time frame on this, that a deal is eventually done. Okay. All right. Let's go to one last question. I'll just change to my Aquarian deck. I use the Rider-Waite. Now I'm using the Aquarian deck. Show me... let's go to America now. So much volatility. You're in the middle of a wave, a big crashing wave at the moment. But that doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to stay. So by 2028, do we see the start of a new... well, the start of normality, like a return to, as normal as it can get in America? Do we... Because the other alternative is like a civil war. Show me America by 2028. Show me America by 2028. Show me America by 2028. Death card, the end of something, and then we get pausing something, the Hanged Man. Don't freak out, it's not the end of democracy. It's like the end of something, and the Hanged Man speaks to, can be, the person hangs upside down with a halo around their head, and that speaks to awareness, to in a period of, and this would fit, a period of pausing things, to think, to reflect, to a new light of awareness. Something old has died. Trump, hopefully. Sorry. The Knight of Rods. The Knight of Wands is at the foundation. There's a great deal of motivation and movement. Motivation and movement in 2028. The King of Rods is in the past. A great deal of courage displayed in the past. The Star is in the sky. The Star, hope. Hope and intention is in the sky. So we have Death and the Hanged Man as the signifier card, been through. Something old has died, something, and people are having to confront and raise awareness of what has occurred. But there are a lot of good omens so far with the Star, the Knight of Rods, the Three of Rods in the near future, waiting for one ship to come in, having done the work, standing there and waiting to reap the result. We have the Ten of Swords in the here and now, the ending. Something is ending. Something is ending, and it's not democracy, because there's a great deal of hope here. The Five of Pentacles is the environment right now. People feeling, well, poor, impoverished, locked out, financial trouble. That's what's happening in the here and now. In the US. In the hopes and fears, we have circles of support coming together in the hopes and fears. And then we have judgment in an inevitability, a change and an inevitability of change. So what you've got now will not be there. it will have died by the time you get to 2028, and there is inevitable change nevertheless. I've read on this many times. I said you're not going back to what you had before. You're going to something new. Trump's era is dead by 2028, but there's a great deal of change. We have the Eight of Swords, great deal of worry, great deal of... but the thing about the Eight of Swords is it's only in your head. That person can release themselves at any time. And then we get the Two of Pentacles, things being in a state of flux, having to make decisions, and Five of Rods, partisanship. So 2028 brings with it hope, but on the ground you've still got this kind of churn. Nevertheless, something is ending and something new is beginning. There's a lot of, as you would imagine with the Hanged Man, a lot to come to terms with. And we have wounded in battles. Yeah, a lot. However, change is afoot, and we have the Star. But there's the potential to create something new by 2028. Seven of Rods, defending oneself. The Lover's card, relationships. There's the Hermit card. Great deal of isolation, as you would imagine. America is isolated by 2028 from the rest of the world. The Eight of Swords, things happening quickly. The truth has to be faced about what has occurred, the devil and the truth. And then we have change, a decision to change. So there is an opportunity in 2028 for people to decide they do not want any more of this, the Five of Swords, and that they want stability, financial stability, stability of government, financial stability. So damage, a lot of damage by 2028. But with that hope card there as a potential, there's a choice. There's a choice to make about how you wish to proceed in 2028. So it's not the end of democracy, but there is wholesale change in 2028. Is it good change, or is it more of the same? Given the Death card and the Hanged Man, I feel that something, and the Judgment, which is a finality, change happens in 2028. Change happens in 2028. It's the Trump era is finished. All right. Okay, I'll leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about how I lost it midway, but I just feel the time for making excuses, the time for naivety, the time for, wishful thinking is over, and this is an era of realism and an era where people have to take back their power. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.